Hi folks, welcome to this video on state school education and PE or physical activity, whichever you prefer. This video, view it alongside the one on public schools. What we're talking about here is the historical development of sport in the UK. With the public schools video, we looked at rational recreation, but remember the public schools weren't for the public, they were for the wealthy upper classes. Those schools had been in existence or have been in existence for centuries. What we're talking about here is education for the working classes. Okay, so we've got a picture here of some working class children in one of their schools, one of their classes. And what changes was 1870. The Forced Education Act came in and said in the UK that all children of all backgrounds should be entitled to an education. Well, I've got a picture of a church on here, nothing to do with muscular Christianity or anything like that. When this act came in, there weren't any state school buildings, there weren't any schools built to educate these working class children. There were the 9 public schools, but they were for the upper classes. So what they had to do was make use of existing facilities, and churches are getting used once a week on a Sunday, so let's educate the children in the church, using them as classrooms. Which lessons were taught? Well, obviously with it being a church, there aren't any specialist facilities, so you get taught literacy, numeracy, discipline and obedience. That is basically it. That's your curriculum, if you want to think of it like that. Okay. Now, if you look at this date, 1870, what's going on around about this time? Well, for around about the past 10, 15, probably even 20 years, the public school boys have been rationalising recreation. So the development of sport has been going on 20 years, but it hasn't and won't be passed on to children of a working class background for decades to come. Okay, so what we're going to look at are the different, and I'm going to say the word PE because that's what we know it as today, but the different PE syllabuses, syllabi, however you want to pronounce it, that are taking place from this point onwards. However, the very early ones, which we'll look at first, have got virtually nothing to do with PE as we know it. Okay, so yeah, the schools came into existence in 1870, but 1902 is the first time that we see a PE, and I said it's not PE, but we're going to call it PE syllabus. From 1870 until 1902, we've seen a basic version of something called Swedish gymnastics, but nothing like gymnastics as we know it. More just standing exercises and swinging your arms up and down and swinging your legs and things like that. Right, something about our history that's going to be a common theme of the next few minutes. War. We love a war, don't we, in Britain? And what's happened is we've had the Boer War just prior to the military drill. Now we're fighting the Dutch over territory in South Africa. Okay? Now what's happened is a lot of our working class soldiers, who make up the bulk of the army, have died, but more of them have died due to a lack of fitness than due to actually being injured and killed on the battlefield. I.e., our working class population are not fit for military service. So with these state schools now educating working class children, what can we do? Well, we can try and get some fitness into them at these schools, so that if they then go on to join the army, they're fit enough to serve. Right? So we've got the military drill or the model course. That's the first PE syllabus that we're going to talk about. What can we say about it? So the various things we can say about the military drill. Okay. What was it designed to do? Improve health and fitness for military service. Okay, so even children as young as this were getting taught how to do military-based exercises. Okay, as you can see, look, there seems to be a lesson going alongside some army people there to show them how to do it. There's no interaction. Look at this, it's eyes forward facing, no communication, no teamwork at all. Follow my orders. It was taught by people called NCOs, non-commissioned officers, i.e. army personnel. So they're just going to bark orders. They're not going to teach children. They're going to bark orders and get them to do what they need to do. It's taught in rank, as you can see here. They're all standing in line, eyes forward facing. The aim, as well as improving health and fitness, was to build what they called little soldiers, and they did that through basics weapon training. Now, obviously not proper guns, but they had wooden and makeshift guns that they would get the children to use. Okay, so this was the first PE, although like I keep saying, it's nothing like PE, but the first physical activity syllabus, 1902 military drill or model course. Right, how good was military drill at improving fitness for military service? Well, there's your answer there. It got changed after 2 years, so it wasn't any good at all, is what we're basically saying. Yes, the intention was to improve health and fitness, but it obviously didn't do a thing. Surprise, surprise, you're taught in rank, you're walking around a little bit marching and you're holding wooden guns. That's not going to improve anyone's fitness, but obviously our knowledge back in the day wasn't that great surrounding fitness and training. So 1904, a new syllabus comes in called physical training. So what can we say about this one? So have we seen an improvement? Well, looking at these pictures, the answer is not much, have we? Because we're still being taught in rank, we're still being taught in line. So what is difference? What the difference is, between 1902 military drill or model course and the 1904 syllabus of physical training? So that I need to point out straight away, its aim was again to improve health and fitness. Military drill's aim was to do that, didn't achieve it, so you try and improve on it and go again. But the aim again was to improve health and fitness. What it was, you had 109 tables of exercises produced by the government. So a teacher with no experience could in theory go in, pick up these tables, these charts basically with different exercises on and say, right, we're going to do this one, this one, this one and this one today. It was therapeutic exercises, development of posture, arms swinging, legs, bending at the hips, lunging forward. So it was a little bit more like basic circuit training exercises, but again, standing on the spot, eyes facing forwards, no interaction. So it was a slight improvement, but it wasn't the finished article, okay? Well, we said this was going to be a consistent theme, didn't we? We're on to another war again. So the syllabus has come in and changed at 1904, slightly more therapeutic, slightly more postural, bit more emphasis on exercise, so it was a bit of an improvement. But we've been involved in World War One, Great War, whatever you want to call it, WW1, and that's gone from 1914 to 1918. So what is the impact of that? Well, the impact is 1919, 1 year later there's another syllabus change. Again, the 1904 syllabus was not effective at increasing fitness of soldiers. A huge loss of life in the First World War, a lot more due to the advancements in weaponry, but still people dying due to a lack of fitness and health and not being able to cope with the demands, the high physical demands. So another syllabus change is prompted. So what does this one involve? So not much to say on this one, but the content was broadened, okay, and this time we've seen an introduction of small-sided games and dancing, again aimed at better improving health and fitness. So if you think back to the public schools, remember the public schools are rationalising sports, creating rules for proper sports like football, rugby, cricket, things like that, around about the 1850s, 1860s. It's near enough 1920 and we're only just starting to see the introduction of small-sided games into state schools, into working class children. So it's a long time, 50, 60, 70 years from its, from where sports were developed to them now reaching the working class children. Okay, so again, another war prompted us to change our syllabus because there wasn't enough health and fitness, so we've decided to bring in small-sided games and dancing. Don't forget the things that small-sided games teach you. Teamwork, communication, problem solving, decision making. These are all skills we need our working class people to have now. Society's advancing a little bit, okay? So in 1933 then, to try and freshen things up, another syllabus is brought in, and this time we're going to see a phrase that we've become familiar with, physical recreation. So to recreate, actually doing things to recreate children. Now this was quite a new revolutionary one. There was quite unique things about this one, so let's have a look at what they are. Well, so far we've made a presumption, haven't we, that you got taught in year groups, the same as what we do now. Each individual year has its, you're all in the same year at school as everyone else of a similar age, whereas that wasn't the case in state schools. Up until 1933, you were generally taught together. You could have a 5-year-old and a 14-year-old in the same class as each other all throughout their time at school. What we see in the 1933 syllabus is this split into age groups for the first time. So you're split into under and over 11s. Now it's not much of a split. Okay, you're still in with kids either a lot younger or a lot older than you, but it's better than what it was. So, almost like we're nodding our head to the fact that you have different ability levels, okay? The idea, because physical recreation is coming, the idea was to develop body and mind, okay? So the idea that we should get you fitter, but we should also do things like communication and teamwork and problem solving and things like that. As a result, it was taught by physical instructors, people who were slightly specialised. in this kind of stuff. What kind of things did they teach? Well, they taught you gymnastics, athletics, team games such as cricket. This is a state school cricket team. Okay, up until this point they wouldn't have tried cricket before, seen it before. Okay, so they've obviously done quite well in the first couple of years and won a local school trophy or something like that. And these physical instructors were using mainly command style of teaching, but there was an introduction to guided discovery, okay, where they were actually letting the children problem solve themselves, figure a few things out themselves. So as we can see, this 33 syllabus has been a big change around from what we've previously seen. Right then, the final one for this video, 1952, moving and growing. So why have we changed it? If we've just made some good progress in 1933, why change it in 1952? Well, as we've said, surprise, surprise, guess what's going to happen to us? We're in another war again, this time World War II, 1939 till 1945, but this one's a bit different, okay? This is one where there's going to be some actual bombing and damage to our country because warfare's advanced. The Blitz has taken place. Germany have been dropping bombs on the UK, as we have to them, and we've flattened a lot of our big cities. Okay. Now, what it means is, afterwards, we now have the opportunity to rebuild a society that caters for the demands of that society, which means that instead of educating our working class children in makeshift schools and churches and old buildings, we can now build proper primary and secondary schools with sports facilities. And if you look at that picture, that's what's happened here. We've got, elements of a playground, haven't we? There's a barrier there, some housing, but we've got a playground with specialist equipment in. And this syllabus in 1952 was named Moving and Growing. And this was the last big one before the national curriculum came along in 1988. But I'm going to look at that in a separate video. So 1952, Moving and Growing. What can we say about this syllabus in comparison to the others? So these are all the key characteristics and aims and objectives of Moving and Growing. So what we've got are, and we'll come to these first, development of physical, social and cognitive skills. Now, where have we come across that before? That is still the underlying principle of PE as we teach it today, as we know it today, to develop physical, social and cognitive skills. There's also an emphasis on fun and enjoyment. Look at these lads here. There seems to be a few smiles on faces. There's freedom of choice. They're getting up to whatever they want to do. So, there's lots of variety in what they're doing. Again, the aim is to develop health and fitness. But it seems to be, child-centred delivery. Crack on, boys. Show me what you can do. So it's about them problem solving, being creative, doing some self-discovery. These are all key characteristics of the Moving and Growing syllabus. And the activities are agility, gymnastics, dance, team games, swimming, moving to music, a lot similar to the national curriculum we see today. And one last thing we can say, it was taught by teachers now. So we've seen a big development over the years. So we've gone back to 1870 when state schools were first brought in, 1902 the military drill, like the first PE syllabus. Like I said, I keep using that word incorrectly, PE, but now we've got to Moving and Growing 1952. So your grandparents will have done Moving and Growing. Some of your parents will have done Moving and Growing. They'll say they did PE because that's what it's called now. But it was definitely called Moving and Growing at the time. Okay, PE, physical education, came in 1988. And like I said, I'm going to deal with that in a separate video, what the characteristics and fundamentals of that. But questions on this topic you're likely to get are characteristics, aims and objectives of each of these syllabi, however you want to pronounce it, or you might be asked to compare two of them. Now, a little top tip from me in terms of comparing them, they've all got big differences between them in terms of the activity, some examples, who taught them, the delivery style, in terms of the activities that you did, but all of them have the same two similarities all the way through them. They all aimed to improve health and fitness. Whether they did or not, that's not the point. They all aimed to improve health and fitness. Military drill only lasted 2 years because it was rubbish at improving health and fitness, but it aimed to improve health and fitness. And all were compulsory for state school education. So my little top tip here, if you're ever given two of these and asked to compare them, similarities and differences, whichever two they gave you, they're 2 marks. You can say they're all aimed to improve health and fitness and they're all compulsory for state school children. Okay? Good luck with it, folks.